Story 1, The Lake Whispers. Location, Lake Crescent, Washington. Date, July 1983. The lake was perfectly still, the moonlight casting long silver shadows over the rippling water. Jeremy had set up camp on the western shore of Lake Crescent, deep in the Olympic National Park. It was Jeremy's idea. He'd grown up hearing the stories of the drowned bride whose body was found perfectly preserved in the icy depths. Of course, they all laughed it off. But that night, they stopped laughing. At around 2 a.m., Monica awoke to the sound of splashing. She blinked and looked around. The fire had long since gone out, leaving only glowing embers. Jeremy was asleep in his tent. Nate was gone. Thinking maybe he'd gone to relieve himself, she lay back down until she heard it again. A distinct, deliberate splashing, not the random lapping of water against the shore. Curiosity, or something else, pulled her to the water. The moon illuminated a pale shimmer of skin just below the surface, drifting in the shallows. She gasped, "Nate?" She knelt, reached out, and a cold hand grabbed her wrist. She screamed, pulling back, and fell into the dirt. When she scrambled to look again, there was nothing there, just the dark water. Jeremy emerged from the tent, groggy. "What the hell's going on?" "I saw someone. I swear it grabbed me." Nate returned 10 minutes later, saying he had gone to collect wood, confused by their panic. He had a pile of branches under his arm, clearly dry and from the forest. But Monica kept staring at her wrist. Bruises were forming in the perfect shape of 5 cold fingers. Later that night, as the wind picked up, they heard whispering, not the rustling of leaves, distinct, hushed voices circling the tents. "You took her place," they heard, over and over again. "She was waiting. She found you." Monica refused to stay another night. When they left the next morning, Nate went silent for hours. When pressed, he finally muttered, "I followed something in the woods. I thought it was Monica. She was walking into the lake, but she smiled at me and kept walking deeper until she vanished." That was the last summer Monica ever went camping. The bruises faded in weeks, but sometimes on humid nights, she still feels a cold hand around her wrist. Story 2, The Thing in the Cornfield. Location, Iowa farmlands. Date, July 2007. Every summer, 16-year-old Darren worked on his uncle's farm in rural Iowa. It was routine: milk the cows, feed the pigs, check the cornfields for signs of pests or drought. But one night, his cousin Ellie dared him to walk all the way through the cornfield after sundown. "The scarecrow moves," she whispered, eyes wide. "It walks around at night. If it sees you, it follows you home." Darren rolled his eyes, but he accepted the dare. At 11 p.m., flashlight in hand, he entered the maze of cornstalks. At first, it was peaceful. Fireflies flitted between the stalks. The dirt was cool beneath his boots. But about 15 minutes in, he started feeling watched. When he swung his flashlight around, he saw nothing, just endless corn. Then he saw it. A few rows ahead, partially obscured by corn, stood a scarecrow. Not on a post, just standing, its burlap head cocked to one side. Its arms hung limp at its sides. He thought maybe it had fallen from its post. Curious, he stepped closer. The flashlight flickered once, and in that brief blackout, the scarecrow moved closer. Darren froze. "Hello?" The scarecrow took a step forward. Another. The straw rustled, but the footsteps sounded wet, like something walking through mud. He turned and ran. Corn sliced at his arms and face, but he didn't care. Something was following, always a few feet behind, walking faster than it should be able to. He burst out of the field, panting. The farmhouse lights were just ahead. He turned. Nothing. No scarecrow. Just corn. Until morning, when Uncle Hal found a second scarecrow out there. This one stood at the edge of the field, wearing a hoodie with straw hands raised in mock surrender. But that night, Ellie swore she saw someone standing in the hall, straw dripping from their sleeves, staring through the crack in her door. The Summer House. Location, Outer Banks, North Carolina. Date, July 2019. Emma and her friends rented a beach house for a week of summer bliss. The Airbnb listing was a little vague about the owner, just Dr. Kavanaugh's estate. But the house was beautiful. 3 floors, ocean view, isolated. There was only one rule: do not use the elevator after midnight. They laughed at that, thinking it was an old maintenance issue. Night 3, buzzed on drinks and dares, Kyle decided to ride the elevator at 12:04 a.m. What's it gonna do? Take me to hell? They all laughed. The elevator doors closed behind him. They never reopened. They waited, knocked, called his phone. No response. Panic set in. Emma tried the emergency phone, but it gave only static. They called the cops, who searched every room. The elevator shaft was clean, empty. No Kyle. Then the dream started. Emma dreamt of narrow steel halls and buzzing fluorescent lights. Kyle was there, eyes white, whispering gibberish in reverse, screaming without sound. They tried to leave the house. The car wouldn't start. Phones failed. Day 5, they heard the elevator ding at 3 a.m. They ran to it. The doors opened. Inside was Kyle, but he was wrong. His mouth opened too wide, his spine curled unnaturally, his shirt was soaked, like he'd been submerged in something metallic. "I live here now," he said calmly. "Come see." The doors slammed shut. When authorities finally arrived 2 days later, they found the elevator gone. The shaft had been welded shut for decades. No sign of Kyle was ever found. The Airbnb was delisted that summer, but if you walk past that beach road, some claim to hear the ding of an elevator around 3 a.m., echoing faintly through the dunes.